It's a beautiful Wednesday morning to be reviewing some top stories ranging from tech to science, innovation, entrepreneurship, and the facts. Any news that is on everybody's lips, it matters to us. And this is your newspaper review on Idea Television. I am Jacobs Deborah. And I'm not alone. I'm a barrister in the house. Barrister, we missed you. I always like saying we missed you because truly, I'm very sure some of our viewers have missed your face.
It's my pleasure being here once again.
How are you doing, sir? How was your weekend?
I'm doing very well.
I heard that your week was very, very stressful, but...
Yeah, a bit, the weather and all of that, but I'm strong. It's nice being here once again.
Okay, to all our viewers out there, do go to your screen because we'll be bringing you very, very beautiful and interesting stories, especially from yesterday's newspaper down to today. The first I want to actually talk about before we move into our tech news is on the Nation front page, where we see that DSS broke truce and Nupeng strike threats. So yesterday's newspaper, we saw that Nupeng and actually from Friday last week, we saw that Nupeng and Dangote have been in a tussle for whether to register or not to register his trucks under Nupeng. And Nupeng has been saying, okay, they're going to call for strike. If that's the only way they would be able to draw the attention of Dangote, and Dangote was saying no at a point, but we've seen that the truth that the Labour Party, the Labour chairman had actually called them to, and the federal government has actually been succeeded by the Labour, like I said, and the federal government. It's a beautiful thing. Okay, so yesterday we asked the question, before we move into our main story for today's headline, we asked the question.
Yeah.
Now, we said that truck drivers registering under Nupeng and Dangote being a private sector on his own, we heard that the truck drivers actually wanted to register, but he actually said they should not. Now we want to hear from a legal person if that is possible. If, as a truck driver, I decide that, okay, I want to register under a union, which is supposed to be, that's what unions are created for.
Yeah.
And the private firm I'm working for decides that, no, I can't register. If they have a bigger say than the Nupeng union, which is under the federal government, of course, which do you think has a bigger say?
One thing that the law provides for is we have good labor laws. Employees are entitled to some rights and privileges under the Nigerian law. You get, so there is no employee in Nigeria that is not entitled to rights. Nobody is a slave in Nigeria. There is freedom, and so the law governs even employee-employer interaction. And Nupeng is a body that governs movements of trucks and all of that. So if truck drivers they come out and they say, look, we have a body that we are enshrined or enjoined to say, let's register under this body. And the truck drivers say, in order for our rights to be protected, because we don't want to be slaves to a private institution or to a company, they have a right to do so. To say, look, they can register on that body. But I'm not looking at it again from a personal point of view. No, but Dangote is trying to eliminate hassle in his business, all these hassles and tussles in his business. He doesn't want anything to come. In fact, he's trying to, someone that brought in 4,000 trucks, 4,000 trucks, and 4,000 going to be paying 4,000 drivers. That means he wants his products to go directly to the petrol stations. He doesn't want any middleman. He doesn't want any disturbance of strikes and all of that. But the truck drivers, they are saying that if the truck drivers that are being employed, they are saying they want to register under NUPENG. It's their right to do so because they are to be protected by law. You know, as a lawyer now, I'm registered under the MBA, whether I like it or not.
Yeah.
You get an employee cannot say I'm not an MBA member, because why can an employee not say so? MBA can come and fight for my rights as a member of the Nigerian Bar Association. Doctors, all doctors are registered under their, or whether they are private, they are under, they have a union. You get so it shouldn't be Dangote saying he wants to eliminate. Thank God they've reached an agreement, and the hassle has been solved. Although I also feel like the NUPENG issue is also kind of like they want to have a foothold. They don't want to be removed. For the DSS to actually be the one to broker this peace deal, that means we are talking. They look at it as a security challenge. It's not just a normal challenge and all of that. Yeah. So that's my own point of view on this matter. Thank you very much for
clarifying us on that. Okay, in other headlines, we see that FIRS, EFCC partners to enforce tax compliance in page 7 of that same newspaper. We see beside it in page 4 that NIWA digs deep to curb boat accidents, no life jackets and no burden. So we also see that in page 3 that IBAS, I saved 5 billion naira from reverse staff verification. Beneath it in page 2, we see that no plans to implement 5% petroleum tax yet, says Edu. I really don't want to dive into this particular news till we move into another newspaper, because I saw that it appeared in another newspaper, but let's let the newspaper news lie for now. We also see that economic of Doyin Abiola at night of tribute. The next newspaper front page we'll be looking at is the Guardian newspaper, where we see that the federal government under pressure as DMO blames FX global shock for rising debts in page 6. We also see PDP, LP, others fly Senate move to stop Natasha resumption in page 3. We also see that Delta slashes costs and expand health reforms in page 29. We also see that NUPENG suspend, the story we just looked at in the previous newspaper. NUPENG suspend strike as Dangote agrees to unionize with workers. We also see that NAPEL to urge as PM key ministers resign over alleged graft social media ban in page 6. And fight delayed disruption, NCAA summons domestic airline to Abuja in page 5. Now back to our story on PDP, LP and others fly Senate move to stop Natasha resumption. This has become a serious issue. I think it has been lingering for months, and at this point, it has moved from her apologizing publicly, because if we want to look at it, they asked her to apologize publicly. Now, on every newspaper carrying out her public apology, and also to pay fine. Now, we've seen that, of course, the people have the right to be represented in the Senate. And if their representative cannot be allowed to enter the Senate at that point, it's like a fight between, will I say, law. And we've heard that the most highest courts have actually said, okay, because the people are allowed to be represented, she should be allowed to represent her people. But people are still saying no. They're not allowing her to enter the court, the Senate House. What do you think about this?
So I believe that this issue now has gone beyond, it's now like a personal vendetta that the Senate president wants to, he wants to punish Natasha Akbuti. If he feels that he has been stained politically, personally, his integrity. And being the Senate president, there are many senators that are behind him and backing him and saying, yes, he has the right to deal with her. But just as you said, the court has pronounced that her suspension was illegal, that they have to bring her back into the Senate. And I think she has almost served a 6-month suspension. If not, she's almost closing. But the court has ruled. So I'm coming back to the Senate and wanting to resume and being prevented. It's something that is morally wrong, and it's against the law. It's against order. I always say something. Ever since I've been commenting on this issue, I always say, is the law being followed? You've accused her of doing something. The way you even the way you and your colleagues, that's the Senate president and his colleagues, the way they did a hush trial, just let us bring evidence. They didn't even look into the matter deeply, suspended her, took her and said she should not enter the chambers anymore. They went to court. The court ruled that it's illegal. Let her come back. Now you are also saying we won't allow her to come back. I don't know the reasons. Maybe they want to appeal, maybe, or something. I don't know the reason why they are saying she should not come back. But I'm bewildered. I don't know what to say, because our people lack representation, and everybody has the right to be represented. And people lack representation in the parliament now. So that means when the parliament resumes, the National Assembly, when they resume this September, she won't be able to sit. She won't be able to sit, and people will not be represented, and which is bad.
Very, very. Okay, another beautiful story is FG under pressure. So we looked at the news that was yesterday, and we saw that Dino had come out to say that our president had been, have been borrowing, and he believes that this regime is the worst in borrowing. And of course, another news says that, which is correct, that this regime is also the best in being able to, repay all borrowed money,
funds.
all funds and all of that. And Dino comes out to say, if we have this kind of regime and we look at it as the president going to borrow from Money Point and OP, in his words. But that aside, he was trying to put it on the expenses that the president has been spending. Now, people are saying the expenses are not our problem. You borrowing is not the issue, which, of course, it is not the main issue. It's you being able to be accountable for every money borrowed, accountable for every money that you've taken or borrowed from both internal and external people or companies or banks. Now, can you be accountable for it? Can you account that, okay, this money that I borrowed was used for so and so? Of course, let's not even look at the fact that aids a lot come from other countries outside to Africa and Nigeria as a country, and we still have the highest borrowing still, and still do not see a high effect of any of it, both the one borrowed, both the aid that comes in. We do not even see the effect on it. And people are saying, like we said, borrowing is not the problem, getting the aid is not the problem. Please, let's see the effect. Let's every money borrowed or that is brought into the country on the account of, okay, let's support you, let it be accounted for. But of course, we'll leave it for the legal voice to say.
No, you're very correct. Accountability is very key, and that's one of the issues that I've had with this government. The government has been doing a lot of monetary policy that I like, in terms of, I give them kudos, they are trying to stabilize the naira, trying to reduce, they are servicing our debt, trying to reduce our debt. Some of our debts has actually been cleared by the government and all of that. But, I will still touch on some issues. Accountability, like you said, is very, very paramount. Some of the projects that we'll find our government doing, or the projects that you will find that they are extraneous. The monetary allocations is too much for this kind of. So when you get these monies, from foreign bodies and all of that, you see that there's still corruption involved. Some people still get these monies, government get these monies, contractors get these monies and still steal these monies. Politicians still take part of this money. So you will see that even the borrowing, as you are borrowing, you will still need to be borrowing more, because even the monies for these projects that I say you want to use it for is not being used well. We are not accountable, to even ourselves. So we need to actually find a way to reduce our borrowing, generate enough income within ourselves. Our economy should be the biggest in Africa. We have the biggest population. We have a huge market. We have the populace. A lot of things are just ripe for Nigeria. We have the minerals in Nigeria. I'm even wondering why, if you look at our budget, the monies that have been allocated to service debt, you will just be alarmed at what we're actually on. So what next is, what is the money being allocated to develop the people? I know one thing again, people want to see, you are borrowing money, yes, but can people see what you're actually using these monies to do? It's not just it's not just that you are borrowing the money and telling the world. Let us see what you are using the monies to do. Like in FCT now, I must commend the FCT minister. At least I'm seeing some of the works that they are doing here in the FCT. But in the federal, in all other states, the man in Jigawa, the man in Ondo State, the man in Ekiti, is he actually seeing government hands in what he's doing, or he doesn't even know what government is doing? Yes, so that's my comment on that.
We'll be going on a short break. When we come back, we'll be looking into other top stories and also our tech news. Do stay tuned. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is a newspaper review on Idea Television. We've looked into different newspaper front page, and now we would like to dive into our tech news for today. We see that ARM's unveil new AI-powered chips designed for mobile devices. We see that the ARM Holding has launched its next generation of chip designed named LEMEX, developed to run advanced artificial intelligence directly on mobile devices such as smartphones, tablets, smartwatches, without relying on cloud computing. Now, this design is ranging from energy-efficient versions for wearable and high-performance models for flagship phones capable of running large AI model. Now, this was happening. A British chip design company, ARMS Holding, has created a new family chip design called LEMEX. Now, this chip is built for artificial intelligence and can directly be linked to mobile phones, our watches, our tablets, without always needing to connect to internet. Now, these are the 4 types. We have the smaller energy-saving ones. That's the one for the smartwatches. And we have the most powerful ones for the smartphones, the ones that smartphones can actually handle, and AI models. But the beautiful thing about this is the fact that we've always looked into privacy when we talk about software. We've always looked at privacy, data privacy, and all of that. Now, this is what this particular invention actually creates. Now, because you will not need to have to connect to an external cloud or data saver to actually power that chip, the chip already itself can be powered as far as it's in your phone. So you don't need to have an external Wi-Fi and all of that. So data, of course, is not being passed from one particular chip to another. That's technically saving data and all of that. But like I said, it's a beautiful thing. Now, another thing we are looking at is fact that it's also energy efficient. The battery, the longer battery saving life, the fact that this has its own. This is a beautiful. Whenever I look at these things, I always want to imagine this kind of innovation. I think yesterday we were talking about one of the tech news. We were talking about the innovations that we've seen that human beings have carried on. A lot is embedded in people's mind. What people can think of. We saw the new BMW car that is electrical, that has been brought. That is electrical, that's actually saving fuel and all of that. Now, related it to how they can charge it. And we actually looked into a news that came out that they are trying to build a road that will be able to charge these cars.
So as you are driving, you'll be
so beyond building, making cars, bots, chips, now we've fixed technology even into constructions of road. At this point, I'm like, people's mind, really, technology is really taking the future at its hand, and everybody is tapping, every sector is tapping. Educational sector, the health sector, no sector is left outside this particular movement.
Yes, so you see that technology is advancing every day. This is a big one. It's a big one, you know. It means our phones now will now be of more, more use, more valuable to us. A chip that can connect our wristwatches to our phones and all of that. Everything, technology is advancing with the advent of AI. With the advent of artificial intelligence. I mean, technology took a giant leap. It took a giant step forward, and I just hope that more of this technology, like you said, also data privacy is important. I just hope that as this technology is, as we're improving this technology, data privacy is also being improved upon. Technology just makes things better. We can't be in this TV station now without technology. Technology just makes things better. My own, I just pray that Africa catches up, Nigeria also catches up. We are seeing a lot of these advancements coming in from the Western world and the Asian world, like China. This one now is a British company.
Yes.
You get, so you always. I just hope and pray that also Nigeria and Africa too will catch up. We begin to see this kind of developments too in Nigeria. Nigerian tech companies, Nigerian tech products. I'm tired of seeing fintechs, all these money points, all these fintechs. Flutterwave. No, we should be doing stuff that has to do with hardware technology, maybe chip making. We are talking of advanced artificial intelligence. Nigerians have the brain. We have the brilliance, to carry out this. So let Nigerians also, let us begin to see ourselves doing this. Let our technology companies also begin to unveil AI products, AI startups that will also compete with the rest of the Western world.
Yes.
Yeah, so and it will also bring us out there. As we're celebrating people in the Western world, we'll also be celebrating ourselves.
Of course, that's it. That's just the truth. Africa will be able to actually, that's what we've been saying. We want to start seeing Africa on these headlines, on these top technological stories and news. We want to see that Africa did this. A company in Africa have done this, have created a chip that can do this. And of course, we have the bright brains in Africa. And I think that was one of the things we were talking about yesterday. Our first move in Africa has to actually hit the technological world. If everybody is looking at it, of course, we don't want to be left behind. We do not want to be left behind. But we're looking into the Daily Trust newspaper next, where we see that we won't implement fuel tax now, Oyedele has said. Now, this is a news that has been ranging from yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. It's a news that I've been raging since, but the TUC came out to say that they were going to go on suspension and on strike, and actually protest against the government enforcing 5% on the petrol and diesel aviation and all of that. And the government has come out to say that we are not implementing this tax now. Now, the problem we are having is not the fact that it's now or in the next 2 months, in the next 3 months, even if it's next year. The people are saying this tax is too much. It is too much to be put on us now, next year, because it affects, of course, it affects a lot of things. It affects feeding. We know that now. That's the height of using fuel is more now. It's so few people that use CNG and all of that. The height of using fuel and diesel. Those are the two major ways to power either your cars, your vehicles, and all of these appliances used at home and all of that. And now, if that's the only two this independent on for now, more dependent on, and you're trying to put a tax on it, of course, it's going to affect every other thing. The feeding. It's going to affect transportation. Of course, it's going to still affect education. We're going to see the toll on everything. And we're saying we do not want this tax. The government is saying they don't want to put it now. They want to introduce it to us gradually. But they're telling us their mind, of course. And we are responding to what they're saying.
Ever since President Tinubu declared in his presidential speech, when he said there is no more, subsidy is gone. Ever since he made that declaration, and things just skyrocketed. There was panic, everything. I think the government learned from his mistake that time, and now what they are trying to do, they will just maybe pitch the new tax policy, and they'll start maybe increasing. So
that you hear
what your people have to say. Then just be increasing it small, putting the taxes little by little. Now they've learned from that. They don't rush into to just say something. They will be doing it little by little. Even CNG, we were discussing the other day how they have also increased the prices of CNG. But like you said, spot on. You inputting taxes on fuel and every other thing, it's going to increase the price of every other thing in the market, because transportation of goods, transportation of food stuff, everything is going to be affected. You get? So the government has to tread very, very carefully. I know that the government is looking for ways to make money. you know, they are trying to look for money. They've told us many times Nigeria is broke. Right from 2023, we've been hearing Nigeria is broke, and they are looking for money, higher taxes. You know, there's a new tax law now in place that will tax individuals, company income tax, personal income tax, you know, even value-added tax for some goods have been increased, you know. So, but the government has to tread carefully, because Nigerians are not really wealthy people. Nigerians are broke. 70% of Nigerians live in abject poverty. 70% of 200 million is a large number. So they need to tread carefully, so that the living shouldn't be dead because you are trying to take from them and tax them. Over-taxation is a burden.
It's a burden, of course.
It's a burden. So they need to tread carefully. So we coming out to say, the TUC, everybody coming out to say, look, we are rejecting this. We actually need to, at this point in time. It also correlates with when the federal government, they are saying they want to increase salaries of their own salaries. These are the things that ordinary Nigerians will look at and say, you are taxing us the more, but you want to increase salaries for yourself. To me, personally, government officials should not be earning salaries. Do you know why I say so? Because they have other means I mean, you have newspaper allocation, money for newspaper allocation. You have money for this, you have money for so many things, and you still want to increase your salaries. But not to go beyond where we have what we are discussing. It's a terrible decision. I feel like the government should just withhold on it. I've tried to go through why they said they will put the taxes. It didn't really come to me as something that's advantageous now. They should hold on to it and just let us be paying this our fuel that we are paying now, the price we are paying. We didn't come out to protest. We didn't do anything. From 100 and something there that you met it. Now we are paying 900 and something, over 900. That's over. Do you know the kind of percentage increase that is? And you say you want to no, please, they should calm down.
He said they should calm down. Yes. Okay, but according to the words of Barrister, please, federal government, calm down. We're not saying that we would accept this even if you bring it next year. We don't want it. We don't want the tax for now. We want to try and look into other things. And you know the funny thing, they said that we've made the budget for this year. I think they're looking forward to how to create a budget for next year. But meet up with the budget for next year. But anyway, let's not go into that. In other headlines, we see that way to recover funds spent on wrong accounts. We also see why suicide is becoming common, and the big headline, how flood swept two sisters, a very, very sad story, others in Zaria. Now, this flood issue has really become a thing that we should look into. Flood from one state to another. Seriously. Now they're even going beyond the states that when geographically speaking, positioned in a place where when rainfall comes, the rainfall comes more for them than other states. It has gone beyond that. Now you hear in other states that you'll be wondering, flood in so state. Are you serious? Why? But we can actually prevent this thing. The fact that problems are coming, and these problems that are actually coming are problems that can be prevented. This kind of deaths that we know that if preventive measures were actually put in place, these deaths will not be accounted on the newspaper, or we will not be hearing this kind of deaths around.
Yes, you know, when I was coming to the studio this morning, I discovered that there's a place where people usually throw deaths. You know, just go and throw their debts anywhere. And I looked at that place and I said to myself, if rain comes now, that place is like a sewage, a place where water is meant to pass. You know, we've already used our hands to cause flood. Because in the sense that if a heavy rainfall comes, water needs to flow, water needs to pass. And once water can't pass, it will gather up in a place, you know, and just begin to damage it. What am I trying to say? What I'm trying to say is this. We should find a way. All this, our sewage passes, all those places where water is meant to pass when rain falls, because we can't stop rain from falling.
Of course.
But we can control it. We can manage how rain flows. You know, because most of the floods we have in Nigeria, most are man-made. Either Cameroon opens their dams and the waters from their dam flows into Nigeria, and we can't manage it because of there is no way for the water to pass. The water is passing and it's just causing havoc in the roads and all of that. You know, so we must find a way. 2 people died. 2 people is a large, even if it's 1 person, is a big number to be losing to flood. even if it's one person, is a big number. So we must take into cognizance these things and look for preventive measures. Water, you will always, as long as, how do they say it in the Bible, seed time and harvest.
Of course.
Rainfall will always come in Nigeria. There will always be rainfall. Water will always need to move. So we must find a way. State government, local governments, federal government must find a way, preventive measures. Open up our sewages. You must be proactive. Think ahead. Then again, we as citizens, like I said, I was coming out and I saw refuse dump. You know, we as citizens, we must also be cautious of what we do, of how we do what we are doing. Don't just dump refuse anywhere. Don't just dump your debt anywhere and begin to move around and say, oh, I've dumped my debt here. No, you must be careful. Dump it in a good place. Don't block the sewages and all of that with your...
So let me get you right. You're saying that this is not just on the government. It's also on us as citizens.
Yes.
We are part of the causes of these floods that comes. And we should actually look into it also, apart from the government creating drainages. I know we always used to say this: if the federal government won't do something for you, your state people should stand up. Of course, there are men in so many states that are spread. In fact, the rich, they are spread across different states. So they should just stand up and actually make sure they try to do this kind of things for their communities, knowing that this kind of deaths can be prevented. And we would always say, please, private investors, let's look into this. Beyond waiting for the federal government, if we keep waiting for them, the federal government cannot do everything by themselves. Let's see that we bring innovations to our community as large. We also see a big story, a very, very interesting one. I was saying this yesterday, but I am trying my best not to shame the men. Our Nigerian footballers. We see that Nigeria's 2026 World Cup hope uncertain after South Africa draw. We see that Super Eagles were forced to settle for 1-1 draw against South Africa in their last match, leaving their World Cup qualification chances on a delicate position. Roddy, I think Nigeria is on 11 points, if I'm not mistaken, and South Africa on 17.
17.
Yes, if I'm not mistaken. And as at yesterday, we were hoping that we're actually going to be able to win that particular match to actually give us an edge, which we're supposed to win 3 matches to actually give us a big edge. But from yesterday, of course, 1,000 miles always starts with a step. And we were looking at yesterday to be one of the steps, and which we tripped. We tripped. You know, I was saying yesterday to one of a colleague of mine in the office, and he said, if it was our women, we would have made ourselves proud. But no, our men decided to go out, and of course, but we will still give it to them.
I don't know what is the problem with male sports, from the D Tigers, the basketball team, to the Super Eagles, you know. And really, when I was watching the match yesterday, I just told someone, I said, it's almost impossible for us to actually qualify, you know, because right from when we started the qualifiers, I mean, we are playing Lesotho 1-1 in your own home, your home ground. You went to Zimbabwe, you went to draw with them again 1-1. Benin Republic, you are losing to Benin. You know, so once you see this result, you don't deserve to qualify for the World Cup. In fact, the South Africans yesterday, they played us very well. They took us to a rugby pitch with all the facilities, the great facilities they are. They said they must stop our free-flowing football. They took us to a rugby pitch, and even the goal we scored itself, if there was VAR, it might not have even counted as a goal, probably because it was the Calvin Bassey did a handball. But let's look towards the future. There's some bright side to it. You know, we had a new defender called Frederick. Is it Benjamin Frederick or something like that? And I think he did very well. He's a very quality defender. Let's begin to build for Nations Cup. The Nations Cup is coming up in December. Let's look forward to that, because this World Cup is almost impossible now. South Africa leads us with 6 points. Benin Republic is also leading us with, I think, about 3 points. And we are third in the group, so we just have to win our next 2 matches, which I think is against Lesotho and Benin Republic, to even say, okay, let's just forget about 2026 World Cup for now. As Nigeria, me, I've forgotten about it. I don't know if other Nigerians too. Let them just forget about it and focus on Nations Cup that is coming up 2026 December. Then look towards 2030 World Cup. Let's see what we can do. I wish South Africa well. If it's South Africa that qualifies, good and fine. I wish them well. They've done well for themselves. Let them qualify and let them go and represent Africa. But for Super Eagles, till next time, from my own end.
Of course, we are still Africans.
Yes.
So it's still an African win-win, of course, if any of us will actually emerge as the representative for Africa as a whole. Okay, so to our Punch newspaper front page, we see that Nupeng suspends strike, the fight between Dangote and Nupeng. We've seen that they've come to a conclusion. We also see beside it that 31 states domestic debt hits 2.57 trillion naira. We see that that story talks about different states coming into debt, not just one, but every state, mostly in Nigeria. And we also see that 2027 presidency, Jonathan split South PDP. We also see that no immediate plan to implement fuel surge. The federal government has come out to say about the story that the contention that came out from TUC, that they decided that they were going to protest and actually strike. We also see that the doctors decided to go on nationwide strike, and Nigeria has a an automated way of responding to any of their issues. Strike has been the easiest way and fastest way to respond to every issue we face, and I think that was at this point we need to start looking into it. Strike shouldn't be the first response to every issue that comes by, because we're not looking at you people alone. Striking is going to affect a lot of people. Now imagine the whole doctors saying that no, they're going on strike. The doctor unions are now they're striking, and there'll be no doctors there. But people will still, of course, people will still fall sick. People will still go to the hospital, but there'll be no doctors too. And this will actually also tell on our death increase rate, and it's bad. It is very, very, very bad to see that Nigeria is always responding with strike, always responding. Every union always responding with strike.
You know, and it's so sad that every time we are talking about strike, you know, this one
Our
wants first approach is strike. You know, for doctors are really, really people that we have to take care of. They are people that are, you know, saving lives and all of that, and yet they still have to go on strike before their matters are being heard, before their voices are being heard. It's a shame, really, that our Nigerian doctors will need to go on strike before their matter is being heard. You know, these are the things I look at and I say it's just failure of leadership, really. How can you wait for me to go on strike as a doctor before you hear my plea? And sometimes they will even go on strike and our politicians will not care, because after all, they have private hospitals to go to. They have, what do they call it, foreign hospitals to go to. Our president uses a foreign hospital, uses foreign doctors. They say because he's a special person. That is why he cannot use Nigerian doctors because of safety. Will American presidents come and will be using Nigerian doctor? So I just look at the reason and rationale for the way our leaders think, and I just say, Kai, we have a long way to go actually, because it's sad. Every day one bad news, one sad news, you know, it's just too bad, it's too sad. And I just hope that it is resolved, because a lot of people are waiting. Pregnant women are waiting to be taken care of. A lot of people with chronic illnesses, chronic diseases. And you know the way these our doctors are, they will just tell them, oh yeah, just we can't attend to you, because doctors, they are used to seeing people die. Some of them, they will just say, this is my own, if you like, die, if you don't. Because I've been to a hospital in Nigeria, and the doctors, they didn't even care. They were on strike. They said they were on strike, we are on strike. It doesn't matter if you are dying, they will tell you they are on strike.
Wow.
And these are the issues. So we have to look at a way to solve this issue before it deteriorates, so that they don't strike for too long and people are just wasted and their lives are taken away because of this. These are the
lives of citizens in Nigeria. Please, let's see that this situation and a conclusion is being able to be drawn between the government and the doctors' union, so that this strike would not last. Just like the way Dangote and Nupeng were able to settle their problems and their issues. Let's the federal government try to look into this and make sure that the doctors are well taken care of. Okay, we've come to a close of our newspaper review. It's been lovely doing this with both our guests in the house, Barrister Damisi Adenikinju. I hope I got that very well.
Yeah, you got it. You got it. Kudos.
For me. Okay, and to all our viewers out there for staying glued to your screen, thank you very much for giving us this time. Do well to stay glued to your screen, because we're bringing you more innovative programs after now. And do well to comment, lay a comment, because we want to hear from you, as well as try to subscribe and Follow us on all social media platforms on Idea Television. I am Jacobs Deborah. And like I would always say, stay informed, stay safe. Bye for now.